All right, we can go ahead and get started. Today is January 28, 2026. This is the meeting of the Container Storage Interface Community. On the agenda today, we have just one item, Volume Health by Hamath. Hamath, I'll hand it off to you to get started.
Thank you, sir. Uh, is there a way I can share my screen? Because that'll be like I have
Yeah,
my
let me stop sharing, and I made you co-host, so you should be able to share now.
okay. Thank you. Okay. Hopefully you should see my uh, Google Chrome screen. So uh, hmm. So we have had some designs like, and that's been sitting for a while actually. And one of the first thing that we wanted to do with the current is like uh, we have volume condition embedded in list volume, controller get volume, and node get volume, API node get volume stats, RPC calls. We want to remove this, the volume health from those places. And I think there's a broad consensus on that. Like we all agree, okay, it doesn't serve the purpose there. Like list volume was meant for like checking if volume is attached and things like that. Node get volume is for how much capacity is available, not really health. So, and then we have this issue that I think I spoke with Ben the other day is like node get volume stat cannot be called unless volume is successfully staged or published to the node. Whereas for health purposes, we want to actually like if a volumes controller publish or sorry, node publish or node stage is failing with one or the other error, we still want to query the like why it is failing. So we want to still query the health of the volume on the node actually. So for those reasons, like we want to remove this those uh, type from the existing RPC calls.
So
We
I agree with the first part of that, but not the second part of that. I think there's other ways to get the health of unattached or as of yet unattached volumes, but I agree that like the current method doesn't make sense.
okay. So yeah, I think I was talking to Jan also in the CSI the CSI implementation sync and we'll maybe get to that. In general, there's a idea saying this is good idea, so good. Okay, so we have introduced two CSI RPC calls in controller, and I'll get to it why I originally thought one is suffice, but like we ended up having two because the reason was like we want to get a list of volume health requests for like this is an optional parameter volume ID. I have not yet actually fully like filled out how the optional and things like that. But this volume ID is
Can
optional.
you uh s- can you explain why you say we cannot just do it in as part of the list volumes?
Okay.
Have to introduce a new one for controller side?
So for uh, list volume gets called by attacher, right? Currently, periodically. Do
Mhm.
we want really like attacher to query volume health?
Uh, right, no, but can we use that API in some
I mean,
other way rather
you,
than introduce a new API? I was just thinking out loud.
you could imagine adding input parameters to lists that says like give me the health or don't give me the health, so the
Yeah,
attacher could have a flavor of list that doesn't get the health, and then other things that care about the health could call list with the flag that says give me the health, and then you'd only
yeah,
have one API with the flag.
yeah. Yeah, that's we could do that, but we are changing the health responses rather than just a simple thing. We are like now putting this is the health response for individual volume ID, status, fatal or warning, whether the like the abnormal condition is fatal or warning, string message like any human readable string reason. This needed some explanation, but it's like basically in conditions in Kubernetes we have a reason where it's a brief camel case string that describes failure is meant for machine parsing, so it could be used for like automated recovery and things. So we are changing the this API feels different, looks different. So I like even if you make it an optional, it doesn't seem like okay, list volume overload list volume to do this as well seems kind of out of place actually.
Yeah, I think the primary benefit too is that if we have a separate RPC, then we can set different polling intervals for health versus volume listing, right? Because
Yeah.
like Hamad said, we currently do use that list volumes for attacher side of things. So we might want to set a different polling for volume health.
And I like the idea of being able to pull to filter health on like only show me the unhealthy ones. Because you can imagine a system with 100,000 volumes, only a handful of which are unhealthy. Do you really want to iterate through 100,000 volumes to find the 10 unhealthy ones when you could just ask the SP to, hey, tell me about the 10 unhealthy ones?
Right.
This though, yeah, that's a good idea. Though, like I think as proposed, it doesn't quite handle that, right? Like
No,
it
but I
has
mean,
a
a separate API lets you add more filters of that flavor,
yeah,
um,
okay, yeah.
which could be to our benefit. Because I am very worried about scale with this API if it's the kind of thing that's going to be called regularly on deployments with large numbers of volumes. Like this is just going to become a huge dog for performance.
Okay. Uh, cool. So this is one. Then we need we have like thought
Hey,
long and
so
hard.
so if we have to, I mean, it's going to add a lot of information to this anyway. Then if it's more general, if we can just like query the volume, then the volume house is just part of it. It could be other attributes by that volume, right? So in that perspective, actually, it's better to have this to be part, like add this to a like volume response, something like that. So rather than a separate one dedicated for the house, but if we also want to check the volume for other attributes, then we couldn't use this because it says health. So
I
I was thinking,
yeah.
yeah,
Do you think that you want to use this information in some other context other than the health?
it could, right? I was just thinking if this is part of the, let's say if you you have volume house, but if it's part of the volume response, then we can,
Oh, get volume or
yeah,
any other response that returns a
right.
volume object. Well, uh, let's park that discussion for a bit while I get through the cap. Otherwise, I won't be able to get through the enhancement. So, if that's okay, Singh. So, that I mean, I do not disagree like outright, but okay, let's keep going if that makes sense. Uh, okay. So, I will add note your comment here. Somewhere. Um, or can you comment it actually on the design itself? That'll be
Yeah,
great.
I'll add it.
Sure. Thank you so much. So the second thing is that we wanted to know the backend storage health in the control plane. And the purpose of this is like, let's say like you have you are running like I don't know iSCSI backend and you know that one or two backends are like or one of the this thing is degraded by the control plane call, then it it might be beneficial for you to report like as overall we want to report overall like storage health that okay this cluster is this backend is not backend but the storage is degraded for the CSI driver based on like this status like is degraded or sorry fatal or warning same reason message and the what volume capabilities are affected, like say let's say you are running like for example using a vSphere and you know that one of the data stores has been disconnected and or then you could degrade or you know that one of the data stores is 99% full for example, then you know that it could affect other operations as well or you or like or there's a case where like like vSAN you're deploying, and it provides both like block volumes and file system, like sorry, and shared file system. So one or the other is in warning state or fatal state. So the purpose of this call is to allow like overall like health of the storage backend to the CO, which CO can use it for various purposes. We'll get to it in a second. But
But the CO has no concept of backends today, right? That
today,
this is the danger here is that you have the CSI plugin,
mm,
which creates volumes of various types, but if there's multiple backends behind that, it's always invisible to the CO. And this tries to expose it in a way that might map for some drivers, but might not map for other drivers. I'm nervous.
yeah. So I think Jan was left a comment here that like the topology capabilities, it might work for some drivers. Like, okay, this topology, this region is this zone is affected by this outage or this problem, but others are not. And the we do propose a CO level, like in CO, like in Kubernetes, a overall CSI driver health object, which basically correspond to what we have in the CSI driver object. Like there's a CSI driver object, there's a CSI driver health object. We are proposing
What
it.
would we expect an automated like lights out system to do in response to a backend being degraded? Like
Yeah. So.
the case you mentioned, 99% full.
Mm,
Like, what are you going to do about that?
yeah. So the way I was thinking is like again, this is like uh it happens this is one of the like, okay, how what do we do with all this information? So a CSI driver could opt in to prevent provisioning if a certain reason is being reported in CSI driver health object. Like let's say like your the where is it? The CSI driver object here reports that with one of the condition that with the volume node affinity reason, sorry, volume reason that, okay, the CSI driver has fatal condition, and this is the reason. Then it can define in the spec. It can define that when this condition exists in the driver condition, do not provision volumes from this driver anymore. And external a component like external provision could respect that. So it will have like spec will have a reason, and like if this is met, then do not provision. So
So the provisioner sidecar would implement the logic to go look at this value and say,
oh yeah, CSI driver
if
health.
if it's unhealthy, I'm just going to leave the PVCs unbound and put a event on them saying why.
Yeah, rather than making it worse and trying to, yeah.
Because
So
the concern is if you keep trying and provisioning and getting errors, like you're generating useless load, and that's what we're trying to prevent.
yeah, not just that, but also like for
Because
example, like
you could put that logic on the CSI driver side, right? To say
correct.
it knows what's unhealthy and what's not unhealthy, and it could immediately fail provisioning requests saying, I can't handle you with this provisioning request. Um, it wouldn't be that
Yeah,
expensive to implement that on the CSI on the SP side rather than
yeah.
the CO
The
side.
CO can choose to like schedule on a different backend or different things actually. So that's the like,
It, can it?
yeah. Mm.
I thought all the scheduling decisions were made inside the SP. What does Kubernetes get to decide?
So let's say the CSI driver has declared that, okay, this is this data store or whatever it is 98% full. Then like and the reason everything is mentioned here, then the and higher level operator can look at it, and then the not parts. Now again, I have not put like the full remediation thoughts into this whole proposal, to be honest. But
You're thinking that some higher level thing is watching the events on the PVCs. It sees a refusal to provision, and then it will delete that PVC and create a whole other PVC to get around the problem.
yeah,
Like an
yeah,
operator's
yeah,
that smart.
yeah. I mean, like I'm looking at like I was looking at the co-operator of like CNPG and things like that. They are pretty smart, so they could do that. So yeah. So at this stage, like our job is to enable some of the automation. Like I have not like but that's basically the idea. Yeah. Uh,
Like
but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
some you could implement that same use case by just having a special error code from crate volume that says,
Mm,
I can't handle you. And then external provisioner could just see that error code and respond by putting the appropriate event on the volume and then letting the right thing happen. You don't need a whole health mechanism to deal with what is effectively an error case at provisioning time,
that's
right?
true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just I'm very nervous about this feature getting super complex and having a bunch of proprietary knowledge encoded
Mm,
and flowing through the CSI layer. Because we've done a good job in the past of flattening everything and saying everything is the same, and not having special coded strings that people have to interpret on the other side going through this layer. So like an enumerated error code that from create volume when you can't create a volume because of health reasons would be way more consistent, I think. And then it doesn't tie you to the
But
concept of a back end.
uh,
it's not just create volume, uh, it's all the other CSI calls. Like I have a node that has network issues and the storage driver knows it, and I cannot attach the volume to that node, but I can
Right.
attach it to other nodes.
Okay, so the
So
idea is the health problems might not only affect creation but also attach, in which case a higher level operator would want to. What would a higher level operator do in response to that?
it
well, it would probably be scheduler would need to schedule the pods on the other nodes.
Okay, so before you schedule, you check the health of the volume. And if it's
Well, I'm
unhealthy, you have
not sure
special
if
scheduling logic that kicks into action.
maybe it could be half of the volume, but I'm not sure if that's actually half of the volume or half of the driver on the node. Like, is this driver working actually? Does it have connectivity to the storage backend? And if
Okay,
not,
but
we
say
can
say it isn't. Like
use.
what do you do then with the pod scheduler? Like you already
Well,
have a
it
volume.
looks.
Your data is already in that volume. It's not
Yeah, but I
healthy,
can
so you
attach
can't
it to a
attach.
different node.
Okay, so it's not fully unhealthy. It's degraded, and the set of nodes it can
Like the
attach to
network,
right
the
now
the,
is
the,
not all of
the
some subset.
again, the volume is healthy. Just the networking to the storage backend from that single node is not good.
Okay.
But I can use the volume on any other node in the cluster. Is that something
the
that storage backend or a volume can do?
Well, we were talking about the back end health because we're still on the controller side. Uh,
yeah
like
yeah
on the node side,
Okay.
yeah, there's other interesting questions.
yeah. So for on the controller side, there was like we like the apart from provisioning, but there's a desire to basically uh get overall status of the storage backend. Is it healthy or is it all one or more backends that is working or not healthy? And so that's basically like and the remediation is yeah, provisioning was one remediation that came to mind, but I think attachment it like yeah, attaching could be one, but I haven't thought it. Maybe like we'll need to get some more use cases for that.
Or attach has multiple phases. So like, are we expecting the controller publish is the call that's going to fail, or that one of the node calls is the one that's going to fail based on this unhealthy condition? Because I agree. Like if you don't want to wait until it's scheduled to a node only to find out that like it's never going to be able to attach on that
Yeah,
node, it would be
yeah,
good to know ahead of time.
yeah.
But like that has nothing to do with back ends. That has to do with nodes. Like
So you
it would.
think
But my intuition is if a node can't attach to volumes, like the node should just mark itself not ready and inhibit all scheduling, right?
hmm
And then that problem is solved.
I hear you. I can be convinced to like remove this or think through this. So I will. So
The thing I was going to say about on the node side is for volumes that can't be attached. I still like the idea of
mm.
using error codes that are returned from either node stage or node publish to signify like what's going wrong. And if we need additional detail, like we can figure out how to add that detail in the RPC response. Having a whole out of band health mechanism, it feels expensive for what is
So
effective. Like just why did my stage fail? Why did my publish fail? And then putting the smarts into kubelet to take that information and export it to wherever it needs to be.
Yeah, but at that time, the pod is already scheduled and you cannot move it to any other node.
Right.
So we would need to delete the pod and let something recreate it, which is possible. We can do it, but it's something we
That's
haven't
not
done too much.
well, okay. Well, what was the proposal for the node side health?
yeah, so the node side just had like currently there's just one. Like we did discuss like if we need a node, like how there is a controller storage backend, we did discuss if there's a idea for the storage backend, like one call in the storage that tells if the storage is accessible on
But,
the node for that. But we have
but
not
kubelet has to
proposed
call
that.
that API, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, you're never you have to wait until it's scheduled to the node to call that API to find out it's not going to work.
No. That was for that we are getting ahead a little bit. So in this on the node side, we just first was the node get volume health. This is a single RPC call which has a volume ID as a required parameter, volume path as optional, and it responds with same like ID, status, message, reason, and things. So this is basically the same as controller response is same as controller get volume health, but list volume health, but the the idea is that kubelet will call this for like currently, like I just said, in the controller, it could be the volume could get healthy obviously during once after it is published on stage, and it's possible that it will the publish and stage is failing because of like the health issues or the
Right.
storage is inaccessible from the
But
node.
how would you ever call this before it gets scheduled? Because kubelet has
Uh,
to do the work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. The pod has to be scheduled on the node. The controller, the node stage, node polish may or may not have to succeed, but as long as it's there in the like the what is that volume in use or like kubelet knows about it, kubelet can make a call for node get volume health request and populate this volume health object about the node that okay.
But where do we get the per node information before you're like at scheduling time that Jan was alluding to,
Okay, so
so that we
that
can
was
avoid scheduling to the bad node?
yeah. So the idea was like there are two. The idea is like okay, you get okay, let's go. So we have this volume health object that stores both the volume health and controller health, and you have like status as like one of the nodes will return a status fatal, message volume is unreachable, reason NFS server inaccessible. So this will at this point, when the first pod is scheduled, obviously nothing, we are not going to be able to prevent pod scheduling. But any other pod that tries to like use the volume, like again for the node health, if it is on the same node, it will be it could be stopped, but on a different node it depends how the scheduling will look like. It's like uh, so first pod will get scheduled, It will get this volume health error that this was the problem and yeah, it doesn't mean that the second part will get scheduled will it will prevent the scheduling of second part unless we make the decision that okay, one volume health is
Yeah, but,
sufficient to yeah, so that
but
and we cannot
then we're
make that.
back in the situation where additional error information at node stage or node publish time would give you the same information, and then it's up to kubelet to figure out how to feed that information back to the scheduler to say, hey, don't send me any more volumes of this type because I can't attach to them, right?
So
But
currently currently the node stage node publish there are multiple problems with the current this thing, right? Like we have one problem is that like node stage and node publish, let's say if NFS server or whatever is inaccessible, it just generally all kubelets get is context deadline exceeded because doesn't it just times out and there's no information available on the and that is one problem. Second problem is like what we want to solve is we want to record that information in this volume health object. Like even if let's say we fix the driver and we add error code and whatnot to those RPC calls, then like the node stage and node publish RPC calls, then we'll have to build a mechanism like to extract that information and add it to to like I don't know what you're thinking like add to a new object or just add it to the pod itself and then the scheduler can decide this volume this pod
I
cannot
don't know. I
run.
mean, that work you have to do no matter what, right? If you wanted the information to get back to the scheduler, we're gonna have to
Mm.
build some channel from kubelet to the scheduler to communicate that. But at the CSI layer, there's two ways to get the information back. There's build a whole new RPC that lets you ask, or just include the information in the error output of node stage, node publish, which you have to call anyways.
But
Um,
we will need a RPC, a new RPC anyways, right? Because the volume can get unhealthy after node stage and node publish has succeeded. So there's no like getting around that.
yeah. So when would we notice that? Would kubelet just after nodes publish is successful, start a clock and just on a timer call the
Yeah,
health
kubelet.
polling?
Yeah, that's the idea. Like
Okay.
how currently we do it for
Okay. So the
currently
idea
we
is you have to do it anyways for the healthy case. So
yeah
why not just use it if node stage or node publish fails?
yeah that's
Yeah.
basically the
Okay.
idea.
Okay. I buy that.
Okay, so uh but okay. There was one thing that I think Eddie mentioned and like we need to discuss is the reason string which is being machine parsable and stuff. Where did he comment? Like should we like make it a enum and define it in CSI actually this string.
I thought that that's what the warning error string was for. That's the one that's machine parsable, right?
Yeah, that's
Like that's the enum that lets a machine decide if this is fatal or just something to pay attention to.
the status is the one that is like whether the error is fatal or it's a
Right.
like where sorry
Right. So
I'm screwed. Yeah, but the reason is like it could be specific to the driver like I gave some example
yeah.
like here NFS server inaccessible or multipath degraded, so it's like one or multipath is gone. So this is the reason like the camel case representation of the
But
error state.
but
So
I would say at the CSI layer we should just say this is an opaque string,
that's what I
right?
was thinking. That's
Yeah, like
that's
we shouldn't recommend anyone try to parse this because we have no idea what's in there. Anyone can do whatever they want.
that's
Can we come up with some a set of error code that is common? I know that Ben, we tried that a long time ago. Can we look at that again? Maybe there were a set of error code and everybody can agree. And then of course we can still add the more detailed reason string, right? That's opaque.
But but if we did that, I think we would expand the status field, not the reason field, right?
Oh yeah, not
If we
reason.
had more
Agree.
enums, we
Hmm.
would just add them to the status enum.
Yes, agree.
Okay. And then reason would be opaque, driver, proprietary, whatever.
Yeah.
yeah. So what these reason fields mean for individual drivers that I expect the driver to themselves declare it in like the CSI driver or CSI driver health objects, like what this means. Like uh it's or like a higher level operator which runs on one or more supports a bunch of backends will have like remediation based on that. But this is opaque to the CO at this stage, actually, if that makes sense. The reason field. Okay, so
Yeah, I
Did
think if we want to make that opaque, that makes sense. If you scroll down, I think basically my comment there is we like in a document,
mhm.
it does say that a CSI driver via CSI driver object could opt in to prevent pod scheduling using a volume if the volume had a health condition with certain reason text. So
Yeah.
we probably should update that to say